What up, it is Marcus Dynasty Dads. We have the Deandre Swift jersey. Will he be a top 10 overall player in Dynasty Rankings? I will get to it, and that's what we're exactly doing today. All you have to do is be a subscriber, and you get a chance to win that. We are going through top 10 Dynasty assets right now, and we're going to compare them to where I ranked them last year. We have some, of course, that were very close to what I ranked last year, and then we have some huge movers up, and then we have some guys that have moved down as well. We're going to start with number one. And number one, last year, I think I put my rankings out right about this time, maybe even just a little bit later, maybe early February. And Jonathan Taylor was my 102. This is non-Superflex, this is half-point PPR. I will do some Superflex rankings too, but we're just going to go through the non-Superflex. And then really, all you have to do is add the quarterbacks in when it comes into Superflex rankings. But my number 2 overall player was Jonathan Taylor. And so I got a little bit of flack because they're like, wow, I understand that he's young. He's 22 years old at the time. But how can you have him over Cook? And how can you have him over Kamara and players of those caliber? Players that have already, even Henry and stuff. And I'm like, Jonathan Taylor is the real deal. He's my number 2 overall. And he kept moving up. He kept moving over Chubb, and then he kept moving over Cook and Kamara. And I was just like, man, you know what? He's my number 2. Like, I saw enough of what I saw that second half of his rookie year to put him at 102, which was a little bit out there, but he's my number 1 player right now. And how do you argue against it? He is a guy that you could see the next 4 or 5 years still be a top 5 running back with the potential of being the number 1 overall running back. Maybe that's Henry next year. Maybe Jonathan Taylor is that. He was absolutely amazing this year. So hard to argue against it. Number 2 and number 3 were so difficult. So difficult. But I don't know if you know, I am a huge Vikings fan. So maybe this is a homer pick. But I am going with Justin Jefferson. And Justin Jefferson, 23 years old. He was my number 8 overall player, wide receiver 3, behind Tyrique and behind Davante Adams, which of course are lower on this list now. And so he's my number 1 wide receiver. Again, kind of out there a little bit because yes, he broke rookie records, but to say that he was my wide receiver 3 over a lot of other players was a little bit hard. So I would say that the first 2 that I have were good picks. Number 3 is a player that I was more down on, and we'll get to it, but Justin Jefferson, 23 years old. 1,400 yards his rookie year, almost breaking Randy Moss's yards in a season as a Viking. His second year, he is just an absolute stud player. And so, number 3 is a guy who is 21 years old. I had him ranked 38. And you have to understand, when I have him ranked 38, it's not because I didn't believe in him. It's because we haven't seen him produced on the field yet. And you can't put somebody just number 3 overall right away. It is Jamar Chase. He is 21 years old. Of course, breaking all of Justin Jefferson's record. My only concern is Justin Jefferson, you can see it. You can see the route running and everything like that. Jamar Chase is a little bit more boom and bust. And what I mean by that is you see these games where he's absolutely amazing, and then you see other games where he doesn't really, especially that middle part of the season, he had a pretty big lull through there. But Jamar Chase, 21 years old, you could argue it either way. I could see, if you guys say, hey, Jamar Chase is number 2 overall, I'll be like, I get it, but he's my number 3 overall. I'm putting him behind Justin Jefferson. I'm putting him behind the Grady Dance. And 38 was just the ranking. Of course, at this time this year, he didn't have a team, so he wasn't even a Bengal, and that's why he was 38 overall. We had no idea where he was going, what his draft capital would be. We had an idea that he was going to be an early first-round pick. So a lot has changed. 38 to 3 is a big jump. And then the next guy, same reasons, 24 overall, rookie running back. And so when you put all those 3 together, 24 was actually, it was a decently high ranking. That's 24 overall. That's not the 24th running back. And I can't remember what exactly running back he was. I think he was 9, 10, somewhere around there, right around that Deandre Swift, Zeke kind of territory. And it's Naji Harris, 23 years old. And the only reason why I would say he's not over Jefferson and Jamar Chase is because he was an older rookie. You're going to be talking about he's going to be 24 going into next year already. And so he's older than Jonathan Taylor, right? When you look at those things, it's like he's older than a couple of the other running backs that came out last year. He's just an older kind of rookie running back. And what I see from Najee is volume. And if you continue to get that, I know that Pittsburgh, they need to fix their offensive line. They need a quarterback. That could hurt Najee a little bit. But I think Najee, with the volume that you're going to get, and you can see the versatility in the passing game and the rushing game, it's hard not to put him up here as RB2 and player 4 off the board. I'm trying to think of who I would want over him, and I kept going Najee versus Kamara, Najee versus Swift, Najee versus Cook, and I'm like, gosh, I would rather have the extra 2.5 years of Najee versus those players, even though that the points per game difference might be a little bit more for Cook in a 12-month span or an 18-month span. But over the 3-4 years, I see Cook declining versus Najee either staying steady or having even a slight increase. All right, number 5. This is the subscribe guy, Deandre Swift. I can't believe I have a Detroit running back this high, but he's 23 years old, and before his injury, his shoulder injury, you saw how well he did play. There are always concerns of Jamal Williams. There are always concerns that he doesn't have this 90% snap share. But what I'm going to say might be a little controversial. A lot of stuff I do say is controversial, whatever. I will say that he is Kamara-like in the ability that he is extremely talented and he doesn't need a lot of touches. He needs maybe 12 rushes, 5-6 catches, which he seems to do pretty well with, 15 to 20 touches, which is a lot sometimes. 15 is not as much, but 20 you're getting into some pretty high volume. And he utilizes those touches very well. Like, he is a very good he breaks tackles. He's really good in the receiving game, as you saw early this year. And really, if Detroit can get there, the only big concern about DeAndre Swift is he has a lot of yards, and he ends up having a Kamara season like Kamara had, I believe it was his third year, where Kamara had, it was like 12, 20, and then he had like 6 touchdowns. That's your biggest concern for DeAndre Swift, is he has a bunch of yards, but he doesn't have the touchdowns. That's the only concern that I have with DeAndre Swift. Yes, he does get a little bit banged up, but man, the dead leg, when I say dead leg, it's like a juke move that people just don't know how to respond to it. He's been doing it in Georgia. He's been doing it in the NFL. He continues to do it. All right, so DeAndre Swift. Number 6, and as you see, a lot of these guys, in fact, all of them are under 25 except one. All of them are all of them are 25 or under, except one guy. I do value youth more than I do some veteran leadership. It doesn't mean that I devalue veterans. It just means that, there's some times where, try to summarize this, the top players, I want some youth. Then we start getting into veterans, and then sometimes I think we almost overvalue the youth when it gets to be deeper into the draft, later into the draft. And then that's where I start taking Allen Robinson over like a big, huge dart throw. But anyways, we'll get into this. This is just the first video of many. CeeDee Lamb, 22 years old. So just think about that. Like, CeeDee Lamb's younger than Najee. I know different positions, but different draft classes. So CeeDee Lamb, I forgot to go through where I had DeAndre Swift. I had him at 15, went to 5, and then now CeeDee Lamb, I had him at 12. So I had him pretty high up there, and now he's up to 6. There was a little bit concerning at the end of the season of Dallas. I think Dallas is going to make some changes. Will you see Gallup come back? He had that knee injury. Will you see Cooper? Cooper, there's always been talks of how that money structure, they might get out of him after this season, which would be now. Maybe there's another season of Cooper. But he's 22. You could say, okay, you know what? The next 2 years, you're going to have this wide receiver too. And then he's going to be solo, man. Well, Dak's still young enough where he can support that, or if they have a new quarterback or whatever might happen, a lot of stuff can happen. Teams can crazily change in 2-3 years, but he's 22. And I'm going to go with talent of CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee is one of the most talented wide receivers that I have seen coming out of college in the last 5, 6, 7 years. That's saying a lot. And so CeeDee Lamb, that's why he's this high up there, 6. And I could see him having a good 7-8 years of being wide receiver 2 into that wide receiver 1 category. Number 7 is going to be Tyrique Hill. He was 6 last year, so he went down a spot. And it's just simply that he is another year older. He's 27. Tyrique Hill is a little bit concerning for the fact that he's had some weird games lately. He's had some down games, but I think you're going to see Kelsey eventually. I don't know if Kelsey just seems to be this unicorn, but you're going to see Kelsey. He can't keep this up forever. And I mean, you could say Tyrique Hill from age 27, let's say 31. That's 4 years of really solid wide receiver 1 production, close to potentially even wide receiver 1 overall production at times. That's what you're going to get from Tyrique Hill. And that 4 years is going to be super valuable versus where I see like Davante Adams. If you see that, you're pushing into not way into the 30s, but too far into the 30s for my liking. And you don't know about Rodgers, which Kansas City, you know that Pat Mahomes is going to be your guy. So it's a completely different thing, and that's why I have more safety with Tyrique Hill. Number 8, again, 53rd overall. And at this time, this guy was not even being crazily hyped. In fact, I was starting to watch video into him, and I was going, this guy's a little different. Like, you can just tell, like, wow, he's almost like a wide receiver. My biggest closest comparison actually at this time last year to this player was Darren Waller. And his name is Kyle Pitts. And if you look at their kind of body types, Kyle Pitts is a wide receiver. Darren Waller was drafted as a wide receiver. He just turned into tight end. He was drafted as, I believe, a wide receiver in Baltimore and then turned into a tight end in Oakland, Las Vegas. And now you have Kyle Pitts, who is basically a ginormous wide receiver, just labeled as a tight end. I know Jimmy Graham tried to get that label into being a wide receiver and tried to get paid as a wide receiver, but he wasn't a wide receiver. He was just a really tall, athletic tight end. Kyle Pitts is a wide receiver. I mean, he's basically that. There's a lot of unknown variables. Matt Ryan, what's going to happen with the Atlanta Falcons? Calvin Ridley, does he stay? Does he go? Does he retire? Does he play ever again? We don't know. We have Russell Gage. We have Olamide Zacchaeus. I'm just going to guess that that's his name. I've been saying it that way for the last 2 years, so I'm just going to go with it. But Kyle Pitts, I mean, you're talking about a guy over 1,000 yards. He had 1 touchdown, which was his biggest, basically, problem. I cannot foresee a future where he scores just 1 touchdown in a season unless he's injured. If he's playing almost every game, I'm thinking of a guy that you're seeing 6, 7 to 10 touchdowns, and you add on the 1,000+ yards, and you're looking at a tight end that should be the easy number 1 tight end in Dynasty. It's not really even close to me at this point. I mean, we just wanted to see it. That's all you needed to see. You saw the tape, you saw the analytics, you saw everything, and you just wanted to see it happen in the NFL level for you to go, okay, he's busy tight end 3, 4 in Dynasty. Boom, no, he's up to 1 because of what you saw. And so, number 8, overall, he's 53, now he's 8, he's 21 years old. He could be the next best tight end for the next 8-9 years. And if he's not the best tight end, he's a top 5 tight end in the next 8-9 years. I mean, you can see it. There's a difference between the hype of Gesicki and Goddard and stuff like that versus the hype of Pitts, who might be the best prospect tight end that I have ever seen. He's probably the best prospect tight end that I have ever seen and watched in all the time that I've done this. And when I mean done this, I mean not just on YouTube, on other stuff too. Number 9, this is where it was hard because he was my number 1 overall last year. Christian McCaffrey. He's 25 years old, will be 26 going into the next season. I think his birthday's in June or something like that. But Christian McCaffrey, 25 years old. He's been injury prone. This could be a steal if Christian McCaffrey has a good year next year and if he has a good 2-3 years, this could be a steal. He could be a steal at 9. But the injury proneness, Carolina's a dumpster fire at this point. Christian McCaffrey, if he's on the field, is the best fantasy running back in the league. Better than even Henry and stuff. He is the best. But he's got to be on the field. And right now, what is it? The best, I can't think of the quote. The best something is availability? The best, I'm trying to think of the exact quote. The best something is availability. I don't know. There's a quote. But he needs to be available is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so 1, now down to 9. So he's probably the biggest mover down so far that we've gone up to. And number 10, the player that I would say, I'm guessing that I'm going to get the most comments and saying, yo, you are way too high on. Yo, you need to stop. Hey, I think you're drinking too much Kool-Aid. And maybe it's because I do have him in some Dynasty leagues too. But it's beside the point. He is 21 years old. He was my 25. So if you think of Najee being 24, this guy was 25, right behind him. And now he is number 10. Number 10 is Javonte Williams. And I know there's a lot of variables. Melvin Gordon could come back. Denver's a dumpster fire. But simply looking at the rest of what the choices are out there. You have Cook. You have Kamara. These guys, Zeke. I mean, these are all 26-year-old running backs that I foresee potentially having a season left. And we talked about last year having 2 seasons left. They have maybe a season, maybe 18 months, or a season and a half left. Javonte Williams is that guy that, let's just say that Melvin Gordon doesn't come back and Denver finds some sort of capable quarterback. And I'm not even saying he's somebody great. Hey, they get Taylor Heineke. They get somebody that can actually throw the ball down the field. Somebody. You could see many worlds. If there was a percentage possibility, you could see many different situations where Javonte is kind of into that Jonathan Taylor-like category, where all of a sudden he's 22 and he gets all the touches, or a lot of the touches. You're talking, I mean, you saw what he did when he had all the touches that one game. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, he had amazing stats. You could see Javonte Williams in a lot of different situations where he could be the next Jonathan Taylor. There's a lot of categories where you could see him being frustrating to own if Melvin Gordon comes back. Their offense struggles, their offense stinks or whatever like that, and they don't get the touchdowns. But Javonte Williams has the talent. And if you look at him compared to Naji, and Naji's being number 4 overall, I think they are close. Like, they are close. Like, if somebody said, hey, I want Javonte Williams over Naji, I'd be like, yeah, Pittsburgh. I mean, there's a lot of unknowns in Denver. There's a lot of unknowns in Pittsburgh. And it could, all of a sudden, you could see tomorrow, boom, Russell Wilson. Well, you couldn't see it tomorrow because the season's, you could see it in 3 months. You could see all of a sudden, Denver gets Russell Wilson. Denver trades for Carson Wentz. Denver trades for Kirk Cousins. Denver drafts a rookie quarterback. Denver does this, that. There's a lot of different things that could happen. And so Javonte Williams, I am going to try to go ahead and say, hey, I am Javonte. I think you cannot question his talent and his, when he gets the ball and his production with the small touches he had. I don't think those two things are arguable. I think the arguing thing that you can argue, if I can say that right, the thing that you can argue against Javonte is Denver and Melvin Gordon. Denver being the whole situation being a mess, and the quarterback situation and potential offense and touchdown situation, and Melvin Gordon. If Melvin Gordon comes back, this ranking sucks. it ruins my ranking. It really does, because Melvin Gordon is a really decent running back. Like, he's still got some juice. He's still a decent running back. And so Javonte, of course, is going to be ranked way too high. But we could even, what was it? Jefferson went from 8 to 2. We could easily be saying, I don't even know what you want to say percent-wise. There's a really good chance Melvin Gordon doesn't come back, and because they gave all their money to their wide receivers. And so when you're saying that, Javonte Williams, I'm going to go ahead and just try to predict the future. Again, it's hard to do, but I am saying Javonte Williams is going to be my 10 overall. Yeah, it's out on a limb, but we're going to go through 11 through 20. So if you want to follow 11 through 20 and yell at me some more, or comment mean comments or nice comments, you can do nice comments too. Please put your comments in the comment box. Nice, not nice, whatever they might be. And subscribe and hit that little bell button so then you can follow. So when I do 11 through 20, you can be one of the first ones to be like, hey, you messed up again. Or hey, I like your stuff. All right? Peace out. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Now turn up.